What's going on, YouTube? I'm back with another video today talking about a very powerful position that you need to be in your backswing in order to hit the ball further. Let's do this. All right, so today I want to talk about a very powerful position that your trail hip needs to be in, and it is internal rotation. Now, some people know about this powerful position and some people don't. For those of you that do know about this position, have a little bit of twist on this, so stay tuned, keep watching. So essentially, in your backswing, you are making your hip go into internal rotation. Internal rotation of your hip is a very powerful position because when you're in internal rotation, you have more force to explode out of it. So being able to allow your body to get into internal rotation, then explode out of it, is how you're gonna swing your club faster. Now, external rotation is essentially your hip going outward. You don't have any power here to actually drive that way, which is why the more internal rotated you can get your hip, the faster you can swing, but you have to be able to explode out of it. So stay with me because I got a couple exercises for that, which are awesome. But with that being said, some golfers will actually preload their trail side into internal rotation so they have more internal rotation of the hip. An issue with this is that now you're starting to limit pelvic rotation because you're artificially throwing that hip into internal rotation. When you artificially put this hip into internal rotation by preloading your foot, your pelvis gets locked up, can't turn as much. So even though you are turning into a hard side, it is internally rotating, there is this rubber band effect essentially. You're not maximizing the distance in which this club can go around, so I don't really advise you to try that. I advise you to get more internal rotation of the hip based on loading your right side correctly or trail side correctly, and that in turn will allow this hip to get locked up, but in a good way. A lot of times we talk about stuff getting locked up, it's a bad thing. In this case, it's actually a good thing when this trail hip gets locked up, because what we're doing is that hip gets locked and is solid in internal rotation. As your pelvis keeps rotating, we're further stretching that rubber band so that when you get to the top, boom, you can explode and turn out of it. You'll often see some people start to get into that sway position, which when you start swaying, you start reducing the angle that that hip can actually internally rotate, as well as we talk about a sway of different parts of the body other than the hip, but you can have a sway in your knee where your knee starts caving over your foot and your backswing starts looking like this. Well, this reduces the angle of that internal rotation versus turning into it. Now that has way more internal rotation, which again will allow you to explode more aggressively out of it in the downswing to really fire those hips correctly to put more speed at the golf ball. Let me walk you through how to actually train this in the gym so that you can have better internal rotation of that hip and more explosive power out of it. So what I want you to do is either grab a slant board, grab some wedge blocks, something that's gonna help elevate you off the ground. Now you're gonna start without using anything to elevate you off the ground and work into that, but essentially what we're doing is a variation of a curtsy squat. So what a curtsy squat's going to look like in this case is especially start on your trail side. Again, we gotta make sure that we're working both sides equally because we do wanna have our left hip or front hip be able to internally rotate and explode out of it as well. But we're gonna start with our trail side for the demo of this video. What we're working on is loading backwards, and you can see that as I go backwards, I'm gonna try to bring my left elbow outside of that opposite knee, about to the knee, just outside of it. We're not going all the way down, we're just loading into it. And what you really wanna feel is, again, loading this quad, loading the glute. I talk about this all the time in your backswing, that we wanna load that quad, want to really load that glute going backwards and feel that loading. Well, you notice that that's putting me in an internally rotated position. So if we're trying to load this here and we're trying to get our body to start going this way, as our motion is bringing it back this way, we want this back leg to also start to cross that midline, because the more we get the rest of our body starting to cross the midline going this way over our foot, the more our bodies have to shift, the more our pelvis has to open, and the more we have to throw this hip into internal rotation to start feeling pressure, stay stabilized, and to then be able to eventually explode out of it. So the full motion, it looks just like this, where we're going down, we're loading, and we're really just getting reps in here. The further you cross the midline going this way, the more internally rotated that hip has to get. So that's the start of it, starting on the ground. Then you grab, again, a slant board, some wedge blocks, something like that, And now we're looking for the exact same thing, but we're presetting our body into this internally rotated position. So now we're really over exaggerating having to get into this internally rotated position so that we can keep our balance centered. If you don't do that, you're gonna get here and try to go back and you're just gonna fall this way. So we're really trying to load it and feel that load. Same thing going down, curtsy squat. From here, once you've mastered this and you feel strong in it, now we're looking to actually explode out of it. So just in a golf swing, as you come back, you load, it's internally rotated. Now we're looking to explode out of it. We're looking for the same explosion aspect shooting this way so that we can have more club speed. So load into that position, get it internally rotated. You want to, again, set that hip really locked in, feel that rubber band effect, really pulling, a lot of quad tension, a lot of glute tension, get down and feel it, and then explode out of it. We're not looking for you to necessarily stick the landed. This is a lot like skier jumps. It's a different variation of it, where skier jumps are just here going back and forth. We're not looking for going back and forth. We're not looking for you to stick the landing. All we're looking for is to explode out of it as fast and aggressive as you can possible. Again, we want to do both sides, but I'm staying on this side to demo it. So we're looking for you, again, we're presetting, we're in a really good internally rotated position, feeling tight, loaded, and then we're going and exploding. So you don't necessarily need to hold it. Holding it's great at the beginning when you're demoing it, just so that you can feel, just like in your golf swing, you're feeling the load, you're feeling the explode. Same thing when you're just doing that portion, you want to hold it, feel it load, feel it explode. From here, now we're advanced enough that we've felt it, we know what it feels like, so we can just go a little bit quicker of load and then go and explode. One more time for you, so then you can start actually trying to drive more that way, really feeling the push. You can both try to get higher, you can try to get further. A lot of different aspects of this. I would recommend that depending on your type of swing, you change up your training. A lot of you guys, if you're back leg golfers, really focus on the actual lateral pushing on this. You want to drive more forward in that sense. Whereas if you are more of a vertical golfer, using either both legs, or you're primarily a front leg dominant golfer, clearing your front leg, then I'd recommend focusing on the vertical aspect of it. But even if you are a front leg golfer, it's the same approach. You still have to internally rotate your trail hip. You still then have to load your front side, and you still have to explode off of your front side, but it's still, this hip has to be able to fire out of internal rotation to generate speed. So load and explode. Load and explode. Pretty simple. Start on the ground, start working on the curtsy squat first, this variation, just feeling that actual internal rotation of the hip, feeling the load, work onto the slant board, work onto the wedge blocks, work into that variation of the skier so you can start working on exploding out of that internal rotation, and that's gonna take you right back into your golf swing. Now we have trained and reinforced your body's ability to actually get into more internal hip rotation as well as explode out of it into the rotation. Then it can carry right over into your golf swing, so your swing starts looking a little bit more powerful and fast like this. All right, that is it for today. I hope this video helps. You can start using that right hip correctly, getting into that internal rotation, and now having the ability to actually explode out of it to generate more club speed. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions about this principle. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.